This Christmas, let's share the greatest gift ever given, Jesus Christ. Compassion International invites your church to join the Giving Tree Project, helping children in poverty overcome barriers and discover hope in Christ. With the Giving Tree Kit, your congregation can provide life-changing resources like food, clean water, and sustainable income to families in need. Visit compassion.com/familygoals today to order your free church kit and make this Christmas a season of hope and transformation. That's compassion.com/familygoals. Be the difference this Christmas. So in today's topic of the Family Goals podcast with David Pollack and Pastor Jay, we're answering the question, what makes a great leader? And we have so much information. This is going to be part 2 of a 2-part series.
Well, this is actually part 1, but we'll get to part 2, but that's okay. But we did, if you want to @ Family Goals, this was a topic from a listener. So if you guys send those in, we definitely want to hit them. And this is part 1.
I texted Joe Ham when Tech beat somebody early on.
FSU probably.
Maybe that's what it was, and he was like, he was all excited about
Heck
it.
yeah, it was good start.
Is he coming back for the golf tournament?
Yeah, we got to get Joe Ham for sure.
That was so much fun. Joe Ham's a great guy.
You want to play with him again?
Sure, I'd love to play with Joe Ham. Now, I was requesting Francoeur because he can hit bombs, but
otherworldly bombs, like in different area codes than we can hit. Like it's pretty stupid.
He looks like he could still play.
Yeah,
I mean he's a lot bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah, he's big. I played him against him in high school football.
Yeah,
he was a receiver in DB, and then went and dropped bombs in baseball. So
y'all are the same age group.
Yeah, he went to Parkview. I went to. You would never know this, but he took Lindsay to school. Like he lived in her neighborhood. So
wow,
he would drive Lindsay to school her freshman and sophomore years of high school until she could drive.
So you've known him for a while.
Long time. Yeah,
that's cool.
Great kid, great dude. Not a kid anymore. All right, what you got today? You got a message for us?
Yeah, so we solicited some folks on X, formerly known as Twitter, and so we got
tip of the cap to Elon Musk.
Yeah, so we've got several
freedom of speech.
Good suggestions from some of our listeners, and this is from Caleb Miller, which I thought was a great question, and it's a simple question, and I think this can take us anywhere.
Okay.
What makes a great leader? What do you think makes a great leader? Of course, I listed out 10 things. I listed out 10 just off the top of my head. I didn't do any deep research or anything. But
just so y'all know,
my
like
personal opinion.
Every show, Pastor Jay comes with notes, and he is absolutely prepared. Most of the time, I don't even know what we're talking about. So
someone has to generate and create the content to make these
100%
so attractive to
so
people.
Successful. We appreciate
people
you.
Are watching this show, listening to this show because of the great content I'm bringing, not necessarily
100%.
because of your opinions.
Correct. Agreed. So what was number one?
So the number
what
one
was numero uno? The most important thing about leadership is what?
To me, I put servant leadership because that was Jesus' style of leadership. And Jesus said, I didn't come to be served, but to serve and to give my life away. And so I think modeling his example of leadership, he was a servant leader. It's instead of a top-down approach to leadership, it's a bottom-up. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to make you successful. And I think that's what makes a great leader, is someone who wants to make other people successful and not themselves.
Well, and we've seen that, and I've seen that in leadership now, like with big time, with companies, corporations, like, what does that look like? It's, okay, well, they have goals, they have dreams. How do you help them reach it? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you come beside people and say, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and I'm on board. Let's get to here. And so I think that's a big deal. Like, having somebody that you know, like, wants you to get to the next level, that wants you to continue to succeed is important. And you're not going to, I mean, it's hard to follow somebody. The dictators nowadays really don't do well anymore. Like, it used to work. We used to just be like, all right, this is what we're supposed to do.
Who wants to get cussed out?
Our coaches used to do that, and we used to be okay with it. And like, that's just because that's the way we were raised. And now I definitely see it's an individual, serving individuals with different goals, different dreams, and being able to motivate those individuals. That's servant leadership. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't lead me the way you lead you. Like, that, those don't, like, we're not the same person, you know? And so I think learning what's important to each individual is how you serve them. Learning what makes them tick is how you serve them.
Kind of knowing what buttons to push with
I was
certain
horrible
people.
at that when I was younger. I was horrible because I just thought, Like, get your crap together. Like in my head, I'm like, what are you doing? You know, and that's the way I led in high school and stuff. I'm like, fine, I'll make every play. Like, what are we doing here? Get your crap together. And I'm asking people to do things they can't do. Like physically, I can do certain things they can't do. And so
I think as you get older, you realize that because when you're younger, you're kind of thinking everybody else can do what you can do. But then when you the more experience you have, you realize, oh, not everybody has the skill set.
And it took me to kids. Like when I got to kids, God used kids as much as anything in my life to teach me, because now I got this Nicholas who's an alien, like unlike me in every way, shape, or form. Like just cool, it's okay, like go with the flow. And I'm like, analytical as crap. Because I'll never forget when we started football. I'm like, hey, bud, all right, we're playing defense, so we go get the guy with the ball. How big's the field? What? It's 100 yards.
This is Nicholas?
Yes, at 5 years old, 6 years old. He's like, yes, it's 100 yards. Get the guy with the ball. Like, how wide's the field? What are we doing? What are we talking about? Go get the guy with the ball. How many players are on the field? How many coaches? Like, what is the coach? And I'm like, I'm going to lose my stuff. And then I learned
that
is
like fascinating.
Dude, it was.
What did you learn from that?
I learned that I have to be patient, and I learned that you have to explain things. Not everybody's just you can't put just anybody in any atmosphere and they go crazy and are successful. I am. Like, I don't care you can drop me anywhere and I'm perfectly comfortable. And I think I belong there. And I don't know why. I would argue I'm a cocky butthole.
Well, confidence goes a long way in life.
Confidence is huge, but that's another thing I'm learning about. Like, how do I develop that? How do I cultivate that in my people, which is servant leadership? But I just learned that not everybody's like that. So now I have to take him and I have to answer some questions and be okay with slowing things down and meeting him where he's at, just like the church has to meet people where they're at. And like, how do I take him now? And so now it's for me, it's like, okay, now how do we go from here to the next step? How do we go from here to the next step? And patience as a leader was so important for me to be like, all right, dude, holy cow. Like, look, let me answer your question. But when the ball snapped, like, we got to go. You know, so, I mean, it just taught me a ton about like how to phrase things multiple different ways, because the first time ain't always going to catch. The second time ain't always going to catch. And then the third, that's my rule. Like with coaching right now, like I got 3. I'm going to do it one way. It's my job to find another way. Like, okay, that didn't work either. Find a third way. At that point, fine, I'm done. Like, but I'm gonna try to phrase it 3 different ways so your brain maybe gets it a different way and not just my way. And the way that because I see things differently and you see things differently. And so try this angle, try this angle, try this angle. Okay, now move on, maybe. Like,
yeah. So there's a leadership book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, and I just thought about it. But he did this 20-year research. What makes a company go from being a good company to a great company? And one of the issues, or one of the key factors, well, he called it a level 5 leader, but it's someone who is a level 5 leader. It's not necessarily the big rah-rah person. It's a humble person. I can't remember all the characteristics of a level 5 leader.
Why didn't you read the book before we did this? You're supposed to be prepared.
Well, I just thought about it when you were talking about it. Just kind of just popped in my brain. And so anyway,
thanks for sharing and not knowing.
I just thought someone out there might want to read the book, Good to Great.
So,
it talks about level 5 leader. All right, so the second thing I put down, first was servant leadership. That's Jesus' example.
Yep.
The second I put was lead by example. And I put you can only take someone as far as you've gone yourself. And so the whole idea of like modeling for them.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Leading by example, like the last part there I might disagree with, or I might just I want to understand why you say it the way you say it. Nobody follows a leader that doesn't do. Nobody follows a leader that is not willing to work. Nobody follows a leader that's not motivated. Like, they will follow them if they have to, and their paychecks or their positioning is, but they're not gonna give you everything.
And John Maxwell talks about that. The lowest level of leadership is position.
Yeah.
Like, you're the leader because you have the title.
And you have that. Listen, dads out there, guess what? You have that title. You have title dad. But that will get you absolutely nowhere if you don't do something with it. Like, your kids, and here's what I've seen from dads. Dads, a lot of times, like, they use their voice to project, which is our voice God gave us, and we have position and authority with that, and our intimidation with our bodies and stuff. But I can promise you this, dads, that will run out. Like, you will not always be able to intimidate your kid when he's 16, 17. Physically, he knows better now. Like, that little voice thing ain't going to work. There better be some substance. Like, there better be something to you.
So what kind of context are you talking about here?
Well, I wanted to spin it to dads because of dads, but like, you can't lead unless we're going to lead by example. Like, we have to, like, you can want the best for your kids and you can want them to be hardworking. If you're lazy as crap, they're going to follow. They'll be lazy. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want them to have a great marriage and you talk to your bride like she's a piece of garbage, they're going to talk to women like they're a piece of garbage. They're going to find a relationship that's probably in that vein. Mm-hmm. If a man that wants your kids to be in church and lead faith, but you don't go to church and you don't have a walk and you don't pray with your kids, like, that example is everything. Like, we've talked about in our church for how many years? More is caught than taught. Mm-hmm. Like, we've said it 7 gazillion times. If you're not the example, like, they're watching and observing more than they're listening and hearing. Does that make sense?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I 100% think that.
And I appreciate you giving all this different. That's what I was asking the context. I think you did a good job of showing different examples of that, whether that's at home, at church, in the sports arena, just basic character qualities. Now, what is it about lead by example you disagree with?
What was the last part of the thing you said?
You can only take someone as far as you've gone yourself.
So to me, here's where my brain goes with that. That's like saying, okay, if I haven't been Nick Saban. Nick Saban was a horrible football player. He was very ungood, but he could take people and make them great. So did he take them further than he did?
Yes.
Than he could go?
That's a good example.
Like, that's kind of where my brain goes. Like, I might not be the best at the world at something, but if I'm somebody who's worked really, really hard and learned and grew and put myself around people that are very smart, and I take information in well, and I am a good communicator, and like, I don't think you have to have played or done something at an elite level to teach something at an elite level. So
I would agree with. I mean, you think about a guy like Eric Spoelstra. I mean, he was the video guy for the Miami Heat.
It's a great point.
And now he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And I don't even know what his basketball playing career. I mean, he may not even played basketball.
Yeah, and there's a lot of a lot in sports that you see that you see that, you know, that guys that didn't even play, that look like they didn't play, look like they can't play, but man, oh man, do they do a great job of teaching. Mm-hmm. And so,
yeah, I think I agree with you on that, but I do think like Eric Spoelstra, he's got to show, if he expects his players to show up to practice, he's got to show up to practice. Yeah. If he's got to bring the energy, he's got to be 100%. Prepared. You know what I mean? So you can't expect someone else to do something if you're not willing to do it yourself.
No, and that's the one of the hardest lessons I've probably learned throughout my life is, like, I can't care more than other people in every walk. Like, when I meet someone, it drives my wife nuts. Like, I'm trying to maximize a moment. Like, I'm in. Like, when I meet you and I talk to you and I'm trying to help you as much as I can. If there's something that I feel like God puts on my heart in youth league sports or in diet, nutrition, whatever, like, I'm in. Like, I'm trying the best I can to motivate, to inspire, to help. Like, not to hurt, not to be malicious. But then you realize there's a lot of people that they hear it and they understand it and they want it, but they're not going to do it. And like for people ask me about diet all the time. Like, everybody knows I'm psycho. Like, I'm a psycho. Okay, I eat the same food every day. I'm boring.
What did you eat last night?
You ain't lying.
It is rough.
It's warmth in here. That'll get on your teeth if you open your mouth.
It's nasty.
It's a little stinky.
It's in my throat.
Yeah. But like my diet, people ask me about that all the time. And here's what I've learned. Like, I can eliminate a lot of the work that it makes me do because I just ask a simple question, and 99% of people never come back. I was like, hey, will you do me a food journal? Everything you eat this week.
You've done that to me many times.
Yes. Because here's the thing. I know I'm wasting my energy. I'm wasting I can't will that.
How many people
them.
do a food journal?
I bet you it's 1 out of 100.
So and then that person you're going to really
I know they're
help.
Serious, man. I'm in. Like, I'm going to come beside you and give you everything I got, but you can't will it. And youth league sports with your kids and sports with your kids. Like, you can't put it in them. You can't put that greatness in them and care. You can't care for them. You can't give them discipline. Like, it's not going to work. Like they're going to have to cultivate that and develop that. You can't make them, get to a certain point. Like you see it and you see potential, but just like when we were their age, we didn't either. So that was where I was going with that.
The third thing, and this relates a little bit to lead by example, but a great leader has solid character. And what I mean by that is hard work, discipline, integrity, honesty, like in my mind, good ethics, good morals. But that's the leader I'm looking for. I mean, maybe I know there's some leaders out there that don't have good ethics and good morals, but to me, a good leader has good character.
Yeah, there's some leaders that their motivation is success. Their motivation is money. Their motivation is power. And you can still be really good with those. Like you can, if that's your motivation and you're in a company and a corporation, if that's what you want to go get, a lot of people will go get it. Like they'll do it and they'll be successful. I think we're thinking like people that we really want to follow and that are following a bigger purpose and a bigger, like
a life worth emulating,
a life that I want to live. Like, and again, there's nothing wrong with chasing in business, but that thirst that you're trying to quench and all that success and all that money, it's going to leave you empty inside regardless. So I think, go ahead.
Don't you feel like you can tell what someone's true motives are just by being around them for just a little bit of time? What I mean by that, like a BS meter. Like, do you have like this, like you can tell if somebody's full of it or not?
I can't.
I can too.
I'm horrible. No, I can't. I'm horrible.
Oh, you can't?
I'm very bad. That's one of my weaknesses. And
I bet Lindsay can.
Lindsay's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Lindsay's really
like
good.
Women have that intuition. But
protection meter. Yeah. Listen, I just like, I think we all have different gifts and things that we're hyper-awareness.
You just expect the best out of everyone?
I see the best usually. Now listen, I'm not saying that's right because I would argue that it gets you burned a lot, but like I typically am like, oh, that dude was really cool. And he's like, mm-mm. And she was like, I bet you he hit you up for something soon and he'll hit me up. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, that is amazing. But I think if you don't, because I know I don't have it, I got friends like Russ Tanner who is exceptional at it. I got a wife like Lindsay that is exceptional at it. And I'm like, what do you think? And that's why my wife got upset with me not too long ago when I had all this stuff going on. She's like, I don't know these people. I don't know any of these people. Like, I don't know them. Like, I don't want you around all these people you don't know, because I think she knows. Like, everybody's great.
Yeah.
That's what she says all the time. Like, everybody's great. I love them. They're so nice. They're so cool. She's like, not everybody that says they're a believer is there to plug into your life and do good things. Yeah. Like, they want something. Sometimes they want something. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, no, they're really good though. They're good people. Yeah. So it's not a strength of mine.
Yeah. One of my weaknesses over the years has been over trusting. Like, I trust people too much, and I've been burned a few times now. So I've learned to be a little more skeptical. Yeah. Like, it's not my natural nature to be skeptical of someone.
So are you more of a, like, does that mean now I pay attention more and make them prove it? Like, is that the kind of deal now with you?
Yeah, I think I'm more guarded. Like, I keep my...
When you've been burned several times, I think you start to
keep your cards close to the vest. Yeah. You know, kind of like, I don't want to... Let me put some test out there. It's kind of like you with the food journal. Let me see how legitimate this person is. See, let's give them some small test of faithfulness before we just.
Well, and I would imagine in a church too, though, like that leadership looks different. Like, you've got people that are working with people who are a direct reflection of your church and are going to be with you or leave you because of it. And so, like, you want those people to have good hearts and to be there for the right reasons. And so, and now listen, if I was building a company and corporation, I want the right people too. Mm-hmm. I want the right people with the right character that knows when things are going wrong. And this goes back to character to me. Like, I love leaders that, dude, it's the same every day, man. Like, when they check in, I know exactly what I'm getting. I love friends like that. Mm-hmm. I love people in my life, man, that just, like, they are going to be who they are every day. And it doesn't matter. I have so many people in my life where outside circumstances drive them. And it's up and down and it's negative sometimes. I don't cling to those people anymore. Like, the older I get, the more I'm like, I really don't have time for that. Like, because this world is awesome and this is great. And I tell myself that a lot. Like, and I believe that. I believe that, like, that God is for us. And I believe that things are supposed to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I just don't believe in the negativity, and I don't think that changes a daggum thing. And so I think when you have people that you surround yourself with, that you work for, that you know, like their heart is great. And even when it's up here or DEFCON 1 and it's everything's swirling, like I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know their character doesn't change because of the circumstances around them. Mm-hmm. They are who they are, and they're going to be the same person whether it's going great or it's going bad.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned, unfortunately in the church world, and I would say this applies to really any world, but there are wolves in sheep's clothing. Like there are people who are posers, and on the outside you think they're great and they're saying all the right things, but I have learned over the years that you have to protect the sheep. You have to be very, very weary, and so it makes for leadership. It makes a tough call on leadership because, to your point, you don't want to put someone in a leadership position that ends up being a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Because it's a direct reflection of you and Jennifer.
It is, yeah.
When you're leading a church,
100%.
like you hired them, those are your people.
Yeah, some of the worst decisions I've ever made in leadership is hiring the wrong people. So, but it's hard to get that right every time.
Oh yeah.
All right. It's you want me to continue on my list, or you want to throw some? You think makes a great leader?
I'm throwing in plenty. Let's just do a couple more, and then we'll save it. We'll have to make it another show because your lists take 3 hours to get through. So
that's because you keep interrupting me. You keep throwing in your 2 cents.
I mean, okay, fine. You just do it. I'm just going to sit over here like this.
No, this is what makes the podcast great. I'll throw something out and you were able to run with it. Did I hurt your feelings?
No, I just want to know how the podcast would go if I did this the whole time. Go ahead.
All right, number 4. I can preach a whole message if you want. Number 4 is good communication skills. Like a leader has to communicate his or her expectations of the team. Like you have to communicate what you're expecting the people you're leading to do. Like you have to have good communication skills.
Yeah, and see this leadership looks so different, and there's so many avenues you could take this, like whether it's sports, whether it's work, whatever. But like this is probably the biggest thing that I've learned of why your family is successful is, can you communicate?
Like husbands or wives communicating with one another.
Every single level, homie.
Parent
like
to child.
with me and my wife, when we communicate and we communicate expectations and what's going on, what needs to be done. And you saw us when you got here this morning. We were upstairs. Lindsay's taking me through the ringer. Like,
Lindsay had her computer out.
She had a computer calendar, and she literally hammering me. Like, what is this? This. But like when we communicate and expectations are communicated, like our life's so much better. When I'm struggling with something and I'm communicating. But this is what I'm really learning in parenting. And this is where, like, I am so blessed because I have a wife that can communicate with my kids. And I've seen communication with your kids communication isn't a gift for everybody, period. Like not everybody can sit down in a room and be like, give me a couple of things and communicate it well. It's not your gift. I think it's really hard when you don't have a single person in the house that can communicate. Mm-hmm. Like if the mom's bad at it and the dad's good at it, you got a chance. But if they're both bad communicators and it's awkward, because some people are awkward, okay? That's just part of the way the design is. So you're going to have to find people in their lives that can communicate, that can get things across to them. You're going to have to find ways to get things across to them. So a text message is not hard to communicate. Like some things are easier for you to communicate in text than they are face to face. So whatever that means for you, and if you're not great in an area, you need to find a way around it. But communication is absolutely key. You have to be able to listen and understand and be able to give back feedback. Just like with my wife. Like I have absolutely learned over the years. Lindsay Pollack does not come to me for advice. When she wants to vent, she comes to me to talk and to vent. So
she's not asking your opinion.
She don't want my opinion. So just shut your mouth. Like, and again, I have to remind myself because I always want to give my opinion, just like with your list. I mean, I always got something.
Yeah, you didn't last very long just being quiet over there.
No, but I always have an opinion and something that I want to share, but I'm like, okay, just listen. And so I listen, and then I hear the magic words. Like, what do you think? What would you do? Okay, now she wants me to interject. Now, Like with our kids,
I think that's a good point of communications, asking good questions.
Yes. And questions, especially with your kids. Like if you want your kids to communicate with you and you ask them yes or no questions, okay, you've already failed.
Yeah.
Like you're failing.
They love to
How
give
was your
yes
day?
or no answers.
Yeah. So here's the 3 types of questions you ask kids. Yes, no, or good. How was your day? Good. Yeah.
So what's your secret to ask? What are some exampals of asking good questions?
What was the best
kids?
part of your day? Man, what happened in your day today that really sucked? Like, it's amazing. Lunch is always like lunch makes them talk because they get to spend time with their friends. Weight training for both of my kids is social hour. Sports, what did y'all do today in football? Not how was football.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
They have to be. If you ask the yes or no questions and the questions that can be answered with good, you're not gonna get a lot. So find those different areas and different ways of who did you walk from class with? Like, is there a teacher that's driving you nuts? Like, I like to ask my kids, what can I pray for you about? Anything going on in your life? And I got to keep doing a better job of that. I don't do that enough. But don't let them off the hook, man. Make them learn to communicate. Make them learn to ask questions. But I'll say, man, like both of my kids are extremely different. But like Nicholas Pollack, all I got to do is talk fantasy football. Like, I know that sounds really stupid, but that sucker sends me a trade a day. Like, and I know you're laughing, but like, I don't care, man. Like, I'm in. Like, he sends, I'm Pastor Jay, I can show you. Like, look, like, fantasy football. How many texts did you just see of fantasy football?
Yeah, that's a lot.
They're all on there. And he loves to trade with his friends, trade with me, like get my opinion, and dude, I'm all in. Like,
well, I think that's a great leadership principle right there is meeting someone where they're at. So you figured out that if you want to carry on a conversation with Nicholas, a great thing is fantasy football, and that's like the starting point, and then hopefully that's going to lead to more meaningful conversations. But even just building the relationship and having that, you always want your kids reaching out to you but I think communicating expectations, I see a lot. And so I do a lot of marriage counseling at the church, and a lot of the issues revolve around unclear expectations. Like a husband might be frustrated with his wife about something, but he hasn't communicated the expectation. You know what I mean? Like they haven't.
Yeah.
And that would be the same with our kids. Like, what are your expectations so that they know what they need to be doing?
Because otherwise you sit there and stew.
Yeah,
otherwise you sit there and you're like, okay, is it going to happen now? Is this when we're supposed to do this? Is this when I'm supposed to do that? And if I don't know what that looks like and what that is, then there's always a little bit of animosity, as opposed to when it's like, this is what I expect. Like, I expect you to do the dishes. I expect you to go grocery shopping. I expect you to do, like when you know this is what they need, like, nobody likes dishes, but like I know my wife does not want to cook and do dishes, like, and neither would I. So like, I would expect me to do the dishes like that. And we've talked about expectations in our household with all kinds of different subjects. And I would argue that sex is something that I would discuss and have expectations instead of always wondering. Like, it makes it very easy to understand. If you understand your partner's expectations, they understand yours. Like, it becomes easy and less of this and this and this that leads to more. So we're going to have to take this list, and we're going to have to, because you made it so long, we're going to have to pick it up next episode because you're wordy and you don't shut up.
Well, I'm bringing some incredible content to the table. You not being able to say anything is kind of like me not being able to shoot a basketball in a game. Like, it's impossible.